Okay. Three, two, and one. Well, hello there, and you're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show, and I'm Connie Pheiff, your unstoppable diva. Thank you for being here. So, I have a quick brag. It's I don't like to brag. People like to brag on themselves, but I am bragging on myself today because, as y'all know, we've been around the block a few couple 2 3 years. I've been doing this almost 7 years, and we were recognized. The show and myself were recognized this past week and nominated in three categories: Trailblazer Award, Mentor of the Year Award, and I won the Radio Personality of the Year Award from Archie Magazine. And I am just tickled to death, honored that they thought about us and they chose us and that we won that award. So, sometimes people look at podcasters or entertainers or speakers or celebrities and think it comes naturally, and sometimes it could. Well, let me tell you, it is hard work. It is really hard work, and to be recognized truly, truly does fill my heart. So I do want to thank you. A shout out to Achi Magazine and the ladies who nominated me for this treasured award. Again, thank you very much. And I do want to recognize my team because we cannot do it without the team. We are all about keeping the passion of life activated for the world's most daring minds. So thank you for being here. And we're going to keep coming back each and every single week with more fantastic guests because today we have a phenomenal guest. I was scoping him out, stalking him, as I like to say, to learn more about him. And he is just doing such amazing work, and I don't want to give a lot of it away. We're going to be sharing it in a couple of minutes, but he is a New York Times best-selling author and a peace troubadour. And I was really curious about that one, but let's jump right in. Let's welcome to the Connie Pheiff Show, James Twyman. Hey James, how are you?
Hi, Connie. I'm fantastic. I'm so happy to be on this award-winning show. I had no idea.
Well, we are glad that you are here. We have a lot in mind in 2020. You're going to be kicking off a few more insights and surprises that I just don't want to share just yet. But the timing of the show is perfect because you are going to be part of that. But I want to know, what is a peace troubadour?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'll tell you the story of how it all started and how I discovered what that was. First of all, we're going to talk a lot about St. Francis of Assisi today. And
Okay.
he's someone that I've always been very attracted to, growing up
Hmm.
as a young Catholic, and uh, his connection with nature and just his passion for life, and how 800 years ago he changed the world.
Yeah.
Francis lived at the end of what we now call the Dark Ages,
Hmm.
and his example was a huge inspiration for the Renaissance, which came right after that. He inspired the artists and the musicians of that time. And I think he's very important today because I think we find ourselves in a very shadowy, dark time now, in need of a new renaissance. So
Yeah.
to back up, because of his connection with peace, in 1986, Pope John Paul II called the leaders of all the different religions of the world together in Assisi, his home, to not argue or discuss anything, but to simply pray together, to bring the peace prayers from their tradition. So the Dalai Lama was there for the Buddhist, and on and on.
Hmm.
And they each prayed the peace prayer from their tradition. A friend of mine happened to be there by accident. His name
Hmm.
is Louis Randa. And he brought those prayers back. And one day someone gave them to me. And as I began to read each one, I just heard music playing in the background.
Okay.
Within 1 hour, I put all 12 of those prayers to music. And I knew
Ooh.
that this was a gift. I knew that it was something I was meant to share. So I began traveling around the world, just wanting to be like St. Francis, a penniless troubadour, to share
Hmm.
all of these beautiful prayers that came from Assisi. And people began calling me the Peace Troubadour.
Okay.
And I started getting invited very quickly to countries at war and in conflict.
Oh,
Began in
okay.
1995 in Bosnia and Croatia during the war
Mm.
there. In 1998, I was invited by Saddam Hussein to come to Iraq at the same time that we were beginning a bombing campaign against the Iraqi people.
Okay.
One of the more recent ones and more exciting ones is when I did a concert a couple of years ago now on a hill looking down into a Syrian village held by ISIS, along with rabbis and priests
Oh.
and imams. And
Mm-hmm.
each time we would do this, Connie, there would be, in some cases, millions of people who would be stopping at the same time to simply pray for that situation. And when I
Right.
say pray, what I mean to feel the vibration of
Yes.
peace and to know that it's happening right there and right then.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell stories of miracles that have happened. But that St.
Mm-hmm.
Francis connection, the peace prayers, those are all the things that brought about that reputation of being a peace troubadour.
Okay. Okay. When I was reading through it and even listening to you now, I myself sense this very strong energy with the work that you have done. I mean, and you put yourself in some really maybe not so safe environments as well, doing the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
You know,
just incredible.
probably the best publicity I ever got was
Hmm.
when Bill Maher on his TV show called me the idiot folk singer from Portland. So if he wants to think I'm an idiot for doing this, that's okay.
Well, I, mean,
He calls
I
faith
would,
as
I would,
a-
I would like to think that was a different connotation what he was saying. But no, I mean the energy that you were just bringing forward with the work that you're doing now, you've turned that into a Broadway play.
That's right.
I'd love to share more about that.
Well, first of all, after writing 16 books,
Hmm.
I had gotten to the point where I said, I'm not going to write another book unless I have to. In other words, unless
Okay,
it's just eating away at me.
right.
And finally, I was walking the Camino of St. Francis, which is a Camino in Italy on the way to
Hmm.
Assisi, following the little paths that St. Francis would have walked 800 years ago. And as I walked that first time, I began to imagine a story about a woman who's walking this journey, who's had a tough time in her life and meets a young Italian guy named Giovanni, and the things that she
Hmm.
learns from him and the adventures that she has. And this story just stayed with me for a number of years until I
Okay.
finally said, okay, I've got to write it down. And finally, this past March, the book Giovanni and the Camino of St. Francis came out. And it's a novel, and I'm very, very happy with it.
Mm.
And I was on the way to do a book tour, but I knew that it would be hard to talk too much about a story because you can't give away the ending. It's got a very
Yes.
exciting ending. So I thought, what could I do? And I had the inspiration to write a one-man musical based on the life of St. Francis of Assisi, and that I
Okay.
would share this on this book tour. And I did, and it was a huge success. And it was also my favorite thing I've ever done. I have just been so happy and in love with sharing this music and the musical itself. And then finally, because of all of that energy, an invitation came to share this in New York as an off-Broadway show, uh,
Okay.
the middle of February for 2 weeks. And I decided to do this in a very unique way because St. Francis, if he were invited to do something like that, he wouldn't just show up in New York and have a hotel room and come and do a show at
Right.
night.
And
So
so yeah, I have my interest peaked. What are you doing?
yes, well, I'll be traveling across the US, beginning in Oregon, then down to California, all the way to New York, in imitation of St. Francis. In other words, my friend Bill Free and I will be
Okay.
penniless the entire journey. We will be traveling to different cities to share the
Hmm.
musical on the way to New York, but we won't have
Right.
any idea how we're going to get from city to city or where we'll stay or how we'll eat, in
Mm.
complete trust. And then when we get to New York,
Right.
before every show, we're going to be on the streets passing out free tickets to the homeless. People who are on the streets needing a place to go. We're going to
Okay.
invite them to come as our guest,
Okay.
share a meal with all of them. The idea is to do a musical in a way that's never been done in New York before, and to do it as St. Francis might have done it, or Mother Teresa might have done it, people who have
Mm.
really lived this message. So I'm so excited. The tour begins in Portland and then to
Okay.
Santa Barbara,
How long does
Phoenix.
that go? How long is that going to take you?
Almost 2 months, not quite 2 months on the way to New York.
How are you
Uh,
traveling?
that's the point. We don't
That
know.
you're just okay.
We have no idea how we're going to get from
Okay.
city to city or anything, just in complete trust. And
Wow. And here's
people
and here's
can,
the media person in me. You're going to be recording and journaling, I'm assuming
oh,
along
yes,
the
we'll
way.
be doing media the whole way.
Okay.
Of course,
Okay.
building the momentum toward New York,
Towards
because
New York,
obviously
right.
we want to inspire people. And I think this
Mhm.
is the key. And I'll tell you something, Connie, that kind of initiated this in me. It was a quote that I heard from a very unlikely source that
Okay.
I'd never heard before. And I'll see if you can guess who said this.
Okay.
He said, "The revolution we started failed. It created more atrocities than it solved. What we really needed were 10 St. Francis of Assisi's." Who do you think would have said that?
I'm
Someone in the
only
20th century is your only guess or your only clue.
I'm only going to guess and say the Pope. I
The
don't
Pope,
know.
you might think Gandhi, John
Right.
Lennon, these would be the people you would guess, right?
Right, right.
It was Vladimir Lenin, the architect of the Russian Revolution,
Yes.
said this. An atheist recognized the power of someone being 100% committed to peace.
Mm,
And he
okay.
knew that if there had been 10 St. Francis's in Russia at that time, they
Mhm.
wouldn't have needed a revolution. Well, what I'm saying is I'll be number 10. Who are the other 9? Come and join
Right.
us in New York. And by the way, if people want to get more information on the tour, or even they can see the first 20 minutes of the musical by just going to stfrancismusical.com. And
Mm.
that's ST for Saint, stfrancismusical.com. You can watch the first 20 minutes. You can see if we're going to be coming through your city on the way to New York, or come in. You can actually join us on stage in New York, by the way. We're putting it out to everyone that if
Okay.
you go out and get yourself a brother or a nun robe, you can be in
Okay.
the musical. So we're doing this like no one has ever done a Broadway musical before.
I guess I'll have to say. Hopefully, I'll be on the East Coast in my New York City office. Then I'll have to make sure.
Good.
I
We
have to
would
make
love to
sure I
have
find.
you.
I would
We'll
love to.
find
Well,
a,
even if I'm in our Pennsylvania home, I could still take the train over. I would love to. I would love to
I'll
come
be coming through
and see
Philadelphia. So
that.
if you live anywhere near there, I'll be in Philadelphia.
Not too far. I'm between, you could say, Philly, New York, Poconos. Yeah.
Great. Well, I hope to
So,
see you there.
yeah, the
We'll
Pennsylvania.
get you a nun outfit and you can be up on the stage with me.
Yeah, that might burn if I put a nun outfit on.
Oh, it's a good burn.
I don't know about that one. Wait, super cool. I love everything that you're doing. We need to take a really quick commercial break so we can honor our sponsors, and we'll be right back. And we're back, and you're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. We have just an amazing guest with us today, James Twyman, making sure I say that right. He's just so impressive. I'm just in awe of you, and a musical Broadway and tour. And when James says tour, it's not the tour going across country. It's James taking himself across country from Portland to California, all the way across to New York City. And the goal is to do it in 2 months.
With no money.
With no money. How wow. How incredible. Now I have to share maybe a couple tips. There was a young man, he did a round the world bicycle ride. And when I was actually back in our California home a few months ago, I get a call and say, this guy's coming through town. And we live on the outside of Los Angeles. And he's coming through town and needs a place to stay for the night. And I'm like, okay. And I had just that day I was home. I wasn't feeling the best, and I had just made a tray of lasagna for the day. And I get him on his cell. I'm like, "Where are you? My husband and I will come pick you up." He spent the night with us. He had some a warm bath, a place to sleep, and he had lasagna for the night. So I'm to all of our listeners out there, be in tune to James when he's coming through your city, because he may need a warm couch and a warm shower
Indeed.
and a little tray of lasagna to eat for dinner.
And a place to sleep.
Right. But how exciting. I mean, it's just those types of journeys, and the fact that you're doing this to give back for the betterment of humanity is really, it's powerful. It's a very, very powerful message that you're doing.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
this is the time, isn't it? We are so needed. As we
Oh my
said, you look
gosh.
out at the world today and you wonder what the solution is. All I know is that
Yeah.
it's not really a political solution. It's not really a social solution. As Vladimir Lenin said, it's each one of us committing
Yes.
ourselves completely to being the
Yes.
change, as
To
Gandhi would
right.
say.
Right. To be that change. And we when I did the agency a couple of years ago, I mean, I had the idea in my head what I wanted to look like. I've been a speaker for 12 years, and I've seen other speakers struggling and artists struggling. And I needed to help people. I just felt that I had to help them and show them the way and guide them and mentor them that you can do this, just maybe a little bit of change, a mindset. And that word change, of course, always comes up. But along that journey, along that path, even myself, I found that it is much more enriching personally when you're actually giving and helping other people and helping other people grow, because like you just said, it's a troubling world out there. I mean, the space is troubling, and it's hard for some people to find, where do I fit, where do I belong? And so many people are, it's all about me, it's all about me. We need to let that go. It's all about us,
Yeah.
and us
Yes.
collectively, us together. And for years, and I know the word now is like used like way too much, people call me unstoppable because I've gone through a lot of crap and fought through it, and became stronger on the other side. But I didn't want to use that word anymore. I said, no, I said, we come together, we're unstoppable together. And that's how my tagline came up, because it was really from the heart, and how we are helping other people
Beautiful.
to be stronger and to grow. So I applaud you for everything that you're doing. So what are the dates of the show, the Broadway show? And make sure to put it on my calendar.
Well, the Broadway show goes from February 20th to
Okay.
March 1st. That's, I think, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of those 2
Mm-hmm.
weeks.
Okay.
And it's at a place called the Church in the Village. I don't have the exact address, but it's a church in New York, a Methodist church that serves both as a church and a theater. So I'm excited to do the musical in that environment. And as I said,
Mm,
being able to welcome the people who would normally never be able to go to a show like this, and to have the
right.
audience half filled with people who Francis would have been serving, the ones that
Right.
St. Francis would have been reaching out to. To me, this is what this is all about, to show that it's
Mm-hmm.
possible to do things in a revolutionary way. We all know that it's the revolutionaries that change the world. It's the radicals that
Mm,
change the world.
right.
St. Francis was definitely one of those radicals, and yet he's also universal. He's the one Catholic saint that seems to cross all boundaries,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
no matter who you are, even if it's just the bird bath St. Francis that most
Mm-hmm.
people know.
Yes.
In fact, there's a prayer that's often been attributed to him. I hate telling people that Francis didn't actually write the prayer of St. Francis, but the musical starts off with that song
Okay.
because it does seem to embody his spirit. And if you
Mm.
want, I'd be more than happy to
I
to
would love
share
I would love to. I was hoping we had a little share.
something from the musical. So I'll share the prayer of Saint Francis. This
Okay.
is one of, in fact, I'll tell you a story before I share it. It was when I put this to music back in 1994. It was kind of the initiation, because it was the next day that a friend
Hmm.
of mine gave me those peace prayers that were prayed in Assisi. And I had that
Okay.
experience I described earlier, where in 1 hour I put them all to
Right.
music. but it was the day before that I wrote this
That you
one.
wrote it. Okay.
Oh Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, bring your love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, your faith. And where there is despair, bring your hope. Where there is darkness, bring your light. And where there is sadness, your joy. Oh, divine master, grant that we may not seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. Make me your instrument, beloved, for it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and in dying to ourselves that we live. Oh Lord, make me an instrument of your peace.
How beautiful is that? You just give me goosebumps.
Good.
I love that. I love that. Well, okay, I'm done. No.
You know, the thing about music, I can really
It's
relate to what you're saying, Connie.
mhm,
Music moves us in
it
an
does.
uncommon way.
It
When
does.
someone's just speaking or you're listening to a lecture, the information you're hearing comes in
Mhm.
through what I call the front door.
Yes.
And right behind the front door are all these filters based upon
Yes.
gas and every idea we have. Music goes into the back
Mhm.
door where there are no filters. So as St. Augustine said, when you sing, you pray twice. And
Love
that's
that.
how I always feel. That's why I wanted this to be a musical,
Mhm.
not just a play or
Right.
I
Right.
wanted, because it's the music that takes us there
Yes.
experientially. And I
Mhm.
want people to really experience St. Francis, not just hear stories, but to feel as if they're right there with him. So when I
Yes.
come out dressed as St. Francis, one thing that I'll never do is do this on a stage,
Mhm.
because I have found that when I'm doing this musical, walking through the crowd with the
Mhm.
people, it has so much more impact. So
Yeah,
as I
yes.
said, it's my favorite thing to do. After 25 years of doing this work, I've never had
Yes.
more fun.
And you could tell, I could just see the emotion, the inspiration just coming through you. So we're going to be getting ready to wrap up here, but one question I always ask my guests, and I don't even know if I need to be asking you, I think maybe you should be asking me, um, is what makes you unstoppable? What keeps you going? What gets you up every single morning?
Oh, my goodness. There's a fire that's within me, that's within all of us.
It is.
And for some of us, that fire has just become an ember,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't take much to breathe oxygen onto that fire and put a few
Right.
twigs, the things that we're passionate about, the things that we love to share. And before long, that fire grows and builds and becomes a burning
Mhm.
inferno. And so in my life, it is a burning
It
inferno because
is,
I
yeah.
get to share as I am right here with you, or to be on the road, or to write a book like
Mhm.
Giovanni. So it's the creativity that inspires me
Okay.
the most. Having lots of different vehicles to be creative,
Mhm.
whether it be movies I've produced or the musical or books or
Right.
the music. I love having lots of venues because it keeps me excited. It keeps that
Yes.
fire burning strong. And that's what I always tell
Mhm.
people. Just find out what sets you on fire, breathe oxygen onto that, and let it take hold.
Wow, I love that, and that goes similar to what I say is that when we touch a heart, we change a life, and we change a life. That's when we all become unstoppable together,
Yeah.
and we
So once
make
again, I hope to see a lot of the people from this interview on the road. Just go to stfrancismusical.com, stfrancismusical.com, and
musical.com.
you
And
can
that's
see some.
February 20th to
Well, that's New York, February
right, that's New
20th to
York.
March 4th, but the tour starts in Portland on
Mhm.
January 4th, and then down to Santa Barbara and all the way across the country. And you can see the
Mhm.
schedule right there on the
Right
website.
there. Okay. Well, if you come into Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, we have a B&B here. You're welcome to stay.
Wow. Okay. You
Yeah, we
never
have.
know.
Yeah, you never know, right? You never
I have
know.
a peace troubadour showing up in Gettysburg.
Yeah, you go. And we have a lot of theaters here too.
I'll bet. Civil War theaters, probably.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, there's definitely a mix because I'm actually looking to do some theater work here myself.
Beautiful.
I do a lot of improv. But I want to thank you for being here. It's marvelous conversation, beautiful the work that you're doing, James. I want to thank you for that, and you're always welcome to come back to the show.
Thank you. It's been a blessing, and I hope to see you in New York.
Yes, we'll be chatting about that. So that's all we have for today. And remember, if you want to be seen and heard, you want to be advertising on the Connie Pheiff Show because we're seen in 210 countries and lots of people come and visit us and see us every single month. So if you want to be seen, you want to jump on with us right here. Just head over to the Connie Pheiff Show for details. And if you haven't done so yet, check out Talent Concierge. We're doing amazing work. The team is doing amazing work. We're a very unique artist agency representing talent. And if you want to be successful, or if you have been successful in your career and you have a story to tell, let TC have a go at it because we want to work with you. You can learn more about that at talentconcierge.co. So, and I said it before, but I always close with when we touch a heart, we change a life. And when we change a life, we become unstoppable together. You're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. Until next time, keep those ideas moving forward and let's all be unstoppable together and be kind to each other. Bye bye.